top of the day to you, beautiful people. Welcome to Joe Knows. This is the first episode. I'm super excited. We are here in a brand new studio where we're shooting this video, and we have some amazing guests.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming. We have Chantal and Nastaran.
Yes.
You
got it.
Really good, huh?
You're really good at it.
I've been practicing about that. Nastaran. Okay, I got it.
I like how you say it.
So there's two wonderful ladies here. What do you do?
Estate planning attorneys.
Beautiful. Both of you?
Yes, we both do. We both decided, hey, we think it's a good idea if we open our own estate planning firm.
There you go. So we've got two smart cookies sitting here with me today. First of all, I'm glad you ladies are here. I apologize.
It's okay.
And the second thing is I am really grateful to have a show. I'm actually able, thanks to our sponsor, to interview smart people. So I enjoy doing that. Today's going to be special. It's the first episode. So you feel a little special?
I do feel a little special,
you
yes.
probably don't even know who I am, but you look at this guy there behind me, that's me.
That's you, yeah.
So we're going to be diving into it right away.
Okay.
I know your time is valuable, and I have a lot of questions for you both.
Wow.
Go for it.
We'll talk about real estate planning and probate. So a lot of times that happens that I'm work with clients, and they're new. That's the first investment they're making into real estate. And they ask me, what route they should go. Should they put it into a trust? Should they put it into an LLC or corporation? Or can you please specify the differences between what's available?
Absolutely, and that's a very good question because this is an area I see with a lot of misconception. So people say, I just bought this property, I want asset protection, please create a trust for me. So I always have to explain to them, the trust doesn't protect you. In California, the trust just makes you avoid probate, okay? So the trust isn't really an asset protection tool. However, you could tack on an asset protection tool such as creating an LLC. LLCs are favorable for investment properties, not corporations. So what we usually do is we'll put the investment property in an LLC and then tie it back together to your trust. So here's...
So you can have both. So you can have a trust and tied in with an LLC.
Exactly.
Very good.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure if you're building this wealth, if you're buying property, we want to make sure it goes where you want it to go, God forbid if something were to happen to you. So that's the whole reasoning behind tying it back together. Now, with the, people say, well, why not put it in a corporation? It triggers a lot of tax complications. Corporations are not as flexible as an LLC. There's a reason why people will put it in an LLC, and just how taxes also work. An LLC is a flow-through entity. So you're getting taxed on your personal level, whereas with a corporation, you're getting taxed on the corporate level and then on your personal, so then double taxation.
Right.
Makes sense. Exactly.
So why people, you think they should look into protection when they actually buy a piece of real estate? Very
good question. So I always tell people this, look, you need to have inside protection. When you rent out your property, you're renting it out most likely to a stranger.
Right.
So there's a million and one things that could happen. Just off the top of my head, you could have a slip and fall. There could be mold issues, and they will sue you. This is, California.
Exactly. I was about to say that.
Very litigious state. So then it's very important that you protect yourself. And what the LLC does is it serves as a shield. So it will shield off that property versus, all your personal assets. So you'll put the investment property in this box, with the LLC, and then your personal home, personal bank accounts, everything is kept separate. Now, outside protection is nothing happens on the property, but you're in a car accident, and you're getting sued, and now they want to know, well, how do we go after this person? Right. Well, anything in the LLC is protected. So the idea is nothing is bulletproof, but you could basically throw rocks in people's ways and making it harder for them to
like
sue
roadblocks, so to avoid that people will attach to other properties.
Exactly. If you're just holding everything in your name, you're the perfect plaintiff. You're the perfect person or defendant for the people to come and sue you because everything's just up for grabs. This way you're shielding off and you're actually planning and creating some protection.
That makes sense. So in regards to the trust, so explain to me this. Right, let's say somebody, so first of all, should anyone, no matter what age they have, look into a trust? Or would you recommend it for elderly people
Well, I think it's changing in Southern California. And, you know, real quick, just to tie back to the investment and the protection, we oftentimes get calls and questions. You know, someone will call in and say, hey, I need you to create a trust because I want to be protected. And I know that Nastaran touched on it, but a trust itself is not a protection from third-party liability. What it does is it protects you from probate. So really, you need both protections. But I think there's this misconception that floats around, and I don't know what link on Google gives it to people. But there's this idea,
I love that.
there's this idea that, you know, oh, let me put in all my property into a trust. If I get sued, nobody can touch it. But back to your question, so the LLC, the trust, very different entities. But back to your question, in Southern California, it's changing more so. I mean, you know firsthand the cost of real estate. So obviously there's a certain age threshold where you would think, I mean, I don't know many 16-year-olds who are saying, hey, I need a trust. I don't know. But in regards to like the elders, that was a very frequent misconception as well. And I think that at some point, it was probably more elderly people who were doing the planning. You know, you're older, you're closer to the age where you think your life is not as long anymore. But now, with the cost of real estate, just with the tech market in Southern California, with people having children, the age gap and who needs it, the type of clientele who needs it, it's really anyone, first and foremost, who own property. And in my opinion, the most important is if you have minor children, to be able to plan for them. So, you know, sometimes we do have people who call us and they say, you know, I own a property, I need a will. That's another misconception. You do not need a will. A will actually put you through probate. You need a trust whenever you own
That's exactly
property.
what I was about. You know, there's a huge misconception.
Yeah.
I talk to people on a daily basis like, oh, I'm good. I don't need to do that because I have a will. I put in the will that my house is going to go to my kids.
Yeah.
So that's a
not-
no-no, right?
That's a big no-no. I mean,
with the trust, you're actually retitling
Exactly.
the property. You're taking the deed and putting it in the name of the trust. You don't have that with a will. A will is still public. It goes through the court system. A trust is private. And then I'll also add on to what Chantal was saying, as far as the age goes, it's not really an age what we look at. We look more at, is it, you know, 150,000. That's what California looks at. Anything over 150,000, if you do not have the beneficiary designations and you do not have a trust in place, it's going to go through probate.
Wow.
So most people nowadays are buying property, and if you buy property, you've quickly hit that amount. And younger people are buying them, older people. So that's where we see, it's usually that amount.
And I know we can talk really deeply into this taxation and whatnot, but I know there is a little loophole there. If you don't have a trust and you only have a will and it goes through probate and it goes to somebody, parents, they have to pay for capital gain when they're going to go sell it. Versus if it's in a trust, you're actually not paying for capital gain.
that's correct. It's not.
That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, it's huge.
That is, and then
The fees associated.
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Coupled with, I mean, you're just dealing with that, but now you're, even with a will, you're going through the entire probate process. So lengthwise, waiting on court dates, the costs for filings are exactly the same. And the fees for the attorney handling the probate, you know, they're very beneficial to us when we handle them. It's unfortunate we're trying to educate people not to get to that point, but minimum 1 year, and, you know, on the realtor side, we deal with realtors who are like waiting to sell these properties, but there's nothing that can be done until these hearing dates. So
yeah, I've been dealing with it on both sides as a listing agent, you know, and as a selling agent. And it's painful.
It is.
You know, you never know, and then it's not for sure they're going to accept that offer. You might have somebody who's going to pop up and say, well, the actual property is worth more, somebody that was appointed, and they want more money, so you're going to lose that buyer. And so it gets very complicated. So I'm glad we're talking about this deeply and breaking it down for, you know, people that just watching the show.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think people have a block. They don't want to ask or call an attorney directly and say, hey, what's the, because they're afraid they're going to be paying a lot of money. You know, it's the same thing with a realtor. So that's why we put out so much content, and we wanted to give away the information through the videos, because I think it should be accessible, not just the Google link.
Right. Which is a good start. It's better than nothing.
Totally.
But it can kind of veer you in the wrong directions at times.
Right.
With just like with LegalZoom, which we're all familiar with. So I agree with you. It's important things to know. I think some people just think they're going to live forever and they don't need to plan for it.
Right, forever and ever.
And just cost-wise, it's a drop in the bucket in comparison to what you're going to pay if it goes to probate. Like Chantal said, we'll get paid maybe 5 times more if it goes to probate versus had you come to us originally and created a trust. And it's a flat fee basis. It's, usually people are fearful of attorneys because they do the whole hourly rate thing and, they worry about that, whereas creating a trust is flat fee.
Very good. So let's talk about this. So obviously you're watching this show, you're curious to know how much a trust is going to cost you, a will is going to cost you, and so on, or an LLC if you buy an investment property, right?
Right.
So I'm not saying give exact figures, but let's share what the fees involve. So let's say you're out there, you're purchasing an investment property. They recommend you to have an LLC to protect your assets. Right. Number one. How much would an LLC cost?
So we actually discount LLCs for the clients that do it along with the trust with us.
With a trust, okay, perfect.
So if they're doing it with the trust, the fee is only $800. If they're not doing it with their trust, the fee is $1,100.
Okay,
so
it's cheap.
Yeah, so $800 you're paying and you're getting the peace of mind you deserve. Now, with that, when you have a running company in California, you have to pay some fees, and that's not our fees, with the Secretary of State, just to have a business. Yeah, right. So, and I think that's around, $825 annually.
So the filing fees.
The filing fees, and then also with an annual fee.
So it's between $800 to $1,100 to have an LLC and have a peace of mind that anything happens to the property, mold issues, or somebody slips and falls, or anything could happen.
Right.
You're protected. Your assets are protected.
Right.
The trust?
So the trust, it depends if you're married or single. If we do a full comprehensive estate plan. So when we say a trust, you're also getting a will, power of attorney, healthcare directive. Okay. If you have minor children, guardianship, and then a form called a HIPAA authorization form. So you're basically getting everything. If you're single, it's $1,600. If you're married, it's $2,600, and that's usually because it's twice the work if you're married.
Obviously,
yeah, exactly.
I figured.
Yeah.
Very good. Awesome answers. We got ton of knowledge there. I really appreciate it. So, quick question, and this is a question I'm going to ask to everybody in the show. Tell us, each one of you, and I'm going to tell mine, a secret that you will never share in public.
Starting with me?
Yep. That's you.
That's you.
So I have to think of something that I'm willing to talk about because we all have secrets we don't want to talk about.
You have one.
I think one, to make it fast, is I swear in another life and only the people closest to me know, I think I was like part of the Secret Service or FBI agent. I am so good at investigating.
You cannot get anything by this girl, so she will know if you're lying.
Watch out, boyfriend out there. Or
she's a human lie detector, I'll tell you that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
How about you?
Well, I love gambling. So Vegas, and I don't know when to, when I make a win to pull out. I just keep going. So I have a problem.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. My secret is I owned a laundromat, a coin laundromat. You know, the 25 cents. I just sold it a couple of weeks ago, I should say. And that's one of my secrets. You know, when they talk about Italians and movies and stuff, I don't want to be in that, right? But that's about it. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Ton of stuff you shared. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and excited for the next episode. Ciao.